cafe racers are a strange breed. Everyone thinks they look cool, and they do, but it almost feels like you have to look hard to find out what else they're really good at. And the Triumph Thruxton 400, it's a good bike which is hard to recommend unless you know exactly what you're getting into. And if you do, easy. The upshot of this story is that if this is going to be the second, third, nth motorcycle in your garage, go for it. But if you're planning to buy this as your primary mode of transport, two-wheel transport, then you've stepped into a bit of a minefield. The issue with all cafe racers is always comfort, and that's also true for the Thruxton. The handlebar is set a little bit low, the foot pegs are set a little bit back. Between the reach to the handlebar and the gentle slope in that seat, commuting on this is going to be harder work than you expect. And if you're planning to do anything more than weekends ride out of town on the Thruxton, that's going to be even more challenging. All that so that you can smile when you see these beautiful proportions. So the real question we have to answer is, how many tantrums will you accept as a side effect of bringing home a partner that happens to be a supermodel? Talking about supermodels, I'd like to invite you to check out guides on the MotorInc app, especially if you're trying to decide for a car or a bike. We created guides as a quick and snappy reference that helps you reach good decisions rapidly, and each guide contains all the videos we make on the vehicles. That's FAQs, views, balances, everything, plus notes on what could improve the ownership experience and what could ruin it, and alternative vehicles. Guides are about clarity and making sure you bring home the partner you want to love and not end up with a supermodel by mistake. And with that, it's back to the Triumph. The Thruxton 400 is very similar to the original Speed 400. Since that bike came out, Bajaj has made some changes to up the premium quotient a little bit while keeping the comfort and competence of that motorcycle exactly where it was. This engine is the same engine, but it's running a 1000 RPM higher redline and new camshafts, which allow the Thruxton to have a little bit more torque all of the time, although the peak torque is exactly the same. The cams also permit a 1000 RPM higher redline. In the process, power goes up to 42 PS, and to help with that, there's 2 more teeth on the rear sprocket, which means the gearing is a little bit shorter. All that goes into a very familiar chassis too, but again there are changes. The front suspension has been retuned, the rear suspension has been retuned, the rake angle is just a little bit sharper, and the subframe on which the seat sits, it's a new subframe. It's narrower and skinnier so that the seat could work with the design better, and this is a genuine two-seater, but as you see it right now, there's a plastic cowl that's added to the top of that seat and bolted down, and it's done really well too. All that adds up to the most expensive Triumph 400 yet. Should you buy one? The big question we have to work out is comfort. Can you live with what the Thruxton 400 offers? And to me, the process of answering that question starts with you getting a test ride, and when you do, you should notice 3 things. First, this is not a super sporty, super committed riding position, sort of how the Continental GT 650 can feel. The handlebar is low, but it's not too low. The foot pegs are back, but they're not too far back. And you'll discover that this is a reasonably comfortable riding position, especially for short rides. On longer rides, there are challenges in here, but they're not as big as you think. The upshot, it's a reasonably comfortable motorcycle as cafe racers go. The longer you ride, of course, the more pressure you're going to feel on your wrists. I think you should get used to it in time, but do you want to? And second, that seat, if you don't use your knees to firmly hold on to the tank, you're going to slide forward. Second, the suspension setup is quite clever. On good road, it feels great. It feels plugged in, it feels comfortable, and it feels absorbent. But once you're on inferior or terrible roads, then you're really going to feel your progress, and a lot of bumps are going to come through. Now here, if you accept that a motorcycle in this kind of format is supposed to do stuff like this, then you will be fine. But if you were expecting the motorcycle to isolate you from the world, I think you're going to dislike this experience. And that's why a test ride and your understanding of what this format of motorcycle does is important. Third, Pillions. Think of that as an afterthought when it comes to cafe racers, because these are hardcore solo rider machines. This bike does have 2 seats, but if you take a Pillion around the city, I think you'll manage. On the weekend ride, yeah, still okay. But the idea of touring with luggage on a Thruxton, Honestly, I am sweating just at the idea of it. To reiterate, if this is going to be your primary motorcycle, focus primarily on comfort on your test ride. You want to work out whether the feel, suspension, seat, etc., they're part of the experience that you'd like to have for the duration of the ownership. The rest of the motorcycle is excellent for the most part. The small changes to the engine, they give the Thruxton a little bit of extra energy almost right off idle. And in the city, you're going to notice the energetic performance, it's smooth and easy, and you don't even have to make a lot of gear changes whether you're trying to ride gently or swiftly. Economy, it's usually mid-20s for the most part, and it can drop sharply if you decide to pick up the pace. And this engine, it is as before smooth and easy up to about 6500 RPM, and there is a lot of performance beyond it if you rev it out. But if you do, you may not enjoy what you're experiencing because the engine can get harsh and it can sound a little bit strained. I'd say it sounds a little bit worse off than the Speed 400 as the revs climb. Thankfully, up to about 110 kilometers per hour in 6th gear, you're still under the 6500 RPM mark, and that means even out on the highway, you will largely have a smooth experience unless you actually enjoy revving motorcycles out all of the time. I will say this, the duality of refinement is why I still have trouble accepting these Triumphs as genuine 40 bhp motorcycles. It means if you want to experience the performance, you must accept a lower state of refinement as normal. In terms of ownership, there are no surprises. The Thruxton 400 has the same service intervals and warranty coverage as any of the other Triumph 400s. I'm going to leave all of those details for you in the FAQ section. It should be about 10-15 videos, which you can watch together as a set on the MotorInc app. The other finer details, they'll be in a section called Notes. You'll find it at the end of this video if you're watching on the MotorInc app. And now let's come to the heart of engineering for a cafe racer in 2025, and that would be the design. To create the Thruxton 400, Bajaj mounted this fairing on a new frame, and it has the same headlight as before. The tank is brand new, but it has the same capacity as before. The seat is brand new and the cowl is brand new, and it sits on a brand new subframe too. But the effect of it is a long-looking skinny motorcycle that is even sleeker and more proportionate in the flesh than it is in the photographs. And to me, this red color scheme is the best of the current color schemes on offer. Cafe racers are an age-old, highly defined, highly refined, proportionate format, and I really enjoyed what Triumph has done here with the Thruxton 400. And as we expect from their 400s, finish levels are excellent and the quality of the product is very good too. But the huge letters on the LCD and that tiny tachometer on this sporty motorcycle, they still do annoy me. I wish that in the process of this design, that unit would also get a redesign. India has two cafe racers now, the Royal Enfield Continental GT 650 and the new Triumph Thruxton 400. Both of these are good machines to bring home if you're into the cafe racer thing. And I want to reiterate once again that this is a design thing a lot more than it's a riding thing. You're buying what you like looking at a lot more than you intend to ride it. Now, there will be a few of you who will get a cafe racer and then rack up absolutely tremendous mileage. I think you're awesome, but you're also the exception, not the rule. Now, if I were buying a cafe racer, I would not start at the video I am making. I would start by getting a test ride. And I think it will become very clear very quickly that the Royal Enfield is the heavier and less comfortable of the two machines, but its twin-cylinder engine gives it a feel that the Triumph simply cannot match. And the flip side is not that the Triumph is less expensive by a small amount, but that the Triumph is much easier to ride, much more comfortable, and has the genuine feeling that a cafe racer is supposed to. The bottom line is this. Manufacturers with retro ambitions do feel the need to make a sportier version of their machines, and the cafe racer format is the closest that they can come to it. And on the Thruxton 400, for example, you will see this in the corners. This motorcycle is sharp, responsive, and happy in the corners, and it makes the most of its good brakes and excellent tires. So the feeling of a cafe racer in terms of good cornering, good braking, swift performance, it's all there. But what I still find very hard to resolve is the idea of the old sports bike. Old is old, but a sports bike to me is cutting-edge tech and design for maximum performance. And to me, it's like using an old overclocked Pentium-powered PC as your personal computer because you're into retro. And if that computer was the third or the fourth or the fifth one in your house because you're a computer enthusiast, I would totally get it. But if you're into gaming today, then that computer just looks silly.